Welcome to a new video. Today I want to be taking a look at something most people just consider a game mechanic, but when we dig a bit deeper, actually has some pretty significant lore implications. So most players should know that Punishing Gray Raven has a combat system consisting of physical damage and 4 different elements. Those elements are ice, fire, lightning, and dark? That's right. Somehow this archaic RPG component made it into this futuristic sci-fi game. So what exactly is dark damage? What does it mean? And how does it impact the story of PGR? Well, strap yourselves in, because all of those questions and more are gonna be answered. So first off, we have to understand what dark typically means. In most video games, dark is just shorthand for evil, so that's a pretty good place to start. If we look at Luna, the only dark attacker, she certainly is evil, or at least an antagonistic figure in the narrative of the story. There's also Camus, who's, well, maybe not evil, but he's pretty edgy, pretty mean. He was an antagonist when we first met him, so he kind of falls under that branch. Then there's Vera's A-rank frame, who's, well, Vera's not evil, she's just kind of mean. Following after her is Kamui's Tenebrian frame, which gets power from the Tenebrian form, which I guess is kind of evil when it debuted, but we're starting to stretch it a bit now. And then finally there's number 21, who... Yeah, I don't think this evil thing is gonna pan out. Let's look at some other options. Maybe instead of evil characters, it's a sort of nefarious type of damage, and that's why it's labeled dark. Maybe it's the Punishing Virus. I mean, Luna, Camus, and Kamui all fight using the Punishing Virus, so that could be something, right? Well, almost. But Vera and number 21 certainly don't. Plus, we have other Ascendants like Alpha who also use Punishing Virus in their battles and don't have dark damage. So clearly that's not an all-encompassing solution. If only there was some text or dialogue that could elucidate the nature of dark damage. Is it? Could it be? A weapon description that answers this very question? Indeed it is. If you take a look at the weapon data of Darkness, Kamui Tenebrian's signature sword, we can see clear as day what dark damage is made from. The sword is loaded with radioactive materials which cause a sort of corrosive damage. In fact, it needs someone with a high resistance to radioactivity just to wield it, which is why it's given to Kamui. Since Babylonia only has a few main weapon designers, it's safe to assume that most construct weapons are engineered in a pretty similar way. Plus, the waves they emit make sense if they're related to radioactivity. But what about Luna and Camus? Is there any sort of precedent for Punishing Virus being related to radioactivity? Well, for that, we can return to the description of Darkness again and think a little harder about what it means for Kamui to be resistant to radioactivity. This is a little bit of a strange way to phrase it because the thing he's actually resistant to is the Punishing Virus, thanks to the influence of the Tenebrian. It's highly unlikely that he just has some unrelated, arbitrary, heightened resistance to radioactivity, and this is also never mentioned in the story. So the only reasonable explanation we're left with is that a higher resistance to the Punishing Virus corresponds with a higher resistance to radioactivity in general. This basically confirms that the Punishing Virus gives off some sort of radiation or is able to influence radioactive materials in some way. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a case closed. Dark damage is not a result of being evil, it's radiation poisoning. That's the end of this short video, but if you've got any other theories, if you feel like this explanation was lacking or that there's something else that better explains what dark damage is, leave it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Since I'm a tiny little channel, every subscriber counts. And if you like my content, stay tuned for the next video.